Upon our arrival, we had 4 companies dispatched, Engine 1, Engine 51, and Ladder Company 1. And Ladder Company 1 was the first company to arrive on scene. They did confirm that the cradle was out of control. We did not know at that time how many people were actually on the cradle. I arrived within a minute after Ladder Company 1. I went ahead and established Sheridan Command, called for PD to come and provide traffic control because we didn't want any falling glass, falling debris to land on Sheridan in between Hudson and Robinson. I assigned Engine 1, Engine 51, and Ladder Company 1 to an investigation group, and they immediately were able to get with Devon resources, and Devon started taking them up to the roof so they could assess the needs to further carry out our operations on this incident, and was very instrumental working with Devon Energy for them to get us into the areas that have restricted access. Our technical companies, our technical rescue arrived shortly after that, which is Rescue 8 and Engine 8. The investigation group was able to radio back to the command, and we were able to kind of give them an idea of what they needed to bring up to the roof. So they ascended up to the roof and established a rescue group, and they were in charge of the rescue operations.
Our first priority was to stop the cradle from swaying in the wind as much as it was. So crews started assessing different situations and different options to come up with different ways that we could get a rope to the cradle. Luckily, the employees that were inside the cradle were still conscious and assisting in the rescue. Initially, the cradle was too far up and too far out from the building, and the wind was interfering with our attempts to get the ropes out there to them. While we were working on that, Major Keel, who will be available to ask questions here in a little bit, and Lieutenant Nidell, were working with personnel from Devon to get with representatives on the telephone with the crane to figure out how to override the safety features to get the crane at least some limited operations. Lieutenant Nidell, working with them, they were able to get the crane to move and center just a bit, and they were able to lower the arm. Once they were able to lower the arm to the crane, our crews were able to get ropes out there to the cradle, and they were able to stop the swaying motion that was initially observed. There was one of the workers in there was trying to work to communicate with us, and he was excited. The other one was very calm and just holding on, but they were still they had enough conscious thought about them that they were compliant to instructions. So they actually were assisted greatly with their own rescue.
Whenever you arrive on a scene like this, you're looking at all kinds of things. You're looking at not only the problem itself, but all the ancillary things that could be a problem, such as falling debris. So that was something that we tended to. The incident commander, Chief Roberts, was very quick to make sure that area was cleared and that the streets were blocked off immediately. That's the very first thing that happened as firefighters were still arriving and sizing up the situation. So yes, that was something that was certainly a concern and tended to very quickly.
As far as you guys know, nobody hurt?
No, sir. No reports of any injuries at all. Which also, the good news too, just to wrap the whole thing up, we didn't really talk about the 2 that we got off. They were evaluated once they did come out of the cradle by IMSA personnel and Oklahoma City Fire Department personnel, and they ended up refusing further treatment or transport. So that's the good news today, that if they did have injuries, hopefully they didn't at all because they refused further treatment or transport. But if they did, our hopes were that they were so minor, obviously, that they did not need to be transported. So that's the silver lining here.